Ah, expansions. It's the word us old people call DLC. Well, in some cases. Maybe it's not downloadable, as most of the time it was a disc containing additional content, but both ideas are pretty similar. So how about disc loadable content? I like the sound of that. It works for me.
You ever get tired of being wrong?
I'm kidding, of course. There is still a significant difference between what I, or anyone, would call an expansion in comparison to modern DLC practices. While today we get snippets, skins, or small side stories or extra missions as DLC, expansions back in the day were almost entirely new games built on top of their base game foundations. There are still some examples of this today. I could think of perhaps Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare, XCOM 2's War of the Chosen, or Cyberpunk 22 and its new Phantom Liberty content. However, it doesn't always amount to the full box editions we once had. Mercenaries would be an almost entirely new game, while Ghostbear's Legacy was more of a restored campaign. While I can't wait to get into Mercenaries and what it's all about, I first have to tackle the middle child, for the sake of completion, of course. So, as you can tell, since you clicked this video because you were obviously interested, today I'm going to be covering Ghostbear's Legacy. According to both my own viewers and Sarna.net, there was originally supposed to be 6 clans in MechWarrior 2. These were the Clan Wolf, Jade Falcon, Smoke Jaguar, Nova Cat, Ghost Bear, and Steel Viper. Due to time constraints and staff members leaving during development, only the Jade Falcons and Wolf Clan would get their own campaigns. Ghost Bear's Legacy would, at least partially, be a resurrection of ideas and content that had been left on the cutting room floor. Perhaps the expansion was once developed material, some bit of work closer to completion, finished and repackaged as it is today. It's a thought, though truly only the actual developers would know if this was the case or not. We still didn't get any of the other clans, though the Smoke Jaguars would make an appearance here, being a significant part of GBL's storyline. It's alright though, because we did still get a bevy of new mechs, some extremely interesting environments, and a new 12 mission campaign with 5 bonus missions for the devout, as in those who managed to press through the campaign without failure or death. And all I have to say to that is, good luck. With Ghostbear's Legacy, massive changes have been made to MechWarrior 2's interface, giving the whole expansion a new paint job. Everything has been redesigned to suit the Ghostbear's hard-broiled Ice Warrior theme. While I did enjoy the base game's interactive FMV menus, I must admit that GBL's is far easier on the eyes. Something about icy blue borders on a black background just really works here. And seeing this, I find it kind of strange that more games didn't go for themes like this down the road. There are a lot more FMVs here as well, all of which change the menu depending on where a mission takes place. Sometimes you're in a cave, or a room, or a spaceship. They all do serve the same function, primarily because they all have the exact same functions, but it's cool to see. Though I will admit that the transitions through space do get incredibly boring after a while. I wouldn't be surprised if people ended up skipping them by the game's end. I know I did. While I really did like how much there was to read in the base game, Ghostbear's more direct storyline makes things a lot easier to understand. I'm a busy person at times, and being able to keep track of shorter snippets meant that I was able to more easily remember what Ghostbear's Legacy was all about. I also didn't feel bogged down by the assumption that I knew lore beforehand, which was great, because there is a lot of information about this universe, and I know I'm not the only person who can find everything about battletech just a little bit overwhelming at times. But that's to be expected with a franchise that has been around so long. The story itself focuses around the theft of the clan's sacred legacy, being the genetic material of its founders. I'm extremely new to the lore here. I definitely knew what was going on, but I will admit that I didn't really understand why another clan would want the DNA of the Ghostbear's long-dead elite. Not at first. Thankfully, there were a lot of resources online that clued me into the fact that eugenics play a big part with clans in the battletech universe. Basically, for those who don't know, this genetic material is combined to create the Trueborn, superior soldiers born in artificial wombs. There is obviously more to it than that, but this is generally what it's about. Don't worry, I'm new to this too, so we're learning together, right? After playing the original MechWarrior, its Super Nintendo redo, and 3050, I was delighted to see that the Draconis Combined returned here. This time they aren't quite the bad guys, simply wrapped up in the game's events. As I said earlier, the Smoke Jaguars make their appearance as well, but so does the Wolf Clan. In fact, most of the game's story is focused on digging into the rivalries and state of these clans. It definitely seems like fluff, but it was at least very interesting to read. And while I really did appreciate its simpler style, part of me really wanted to read more about the Ghost Bears story. I'll admit, it hooked me a lot more than the base game's campaign. Certainly, it's something I'd love to keep reading about. With 12 missions, 17 total including bonus missions, there is a rather sizable campaign to plow through. I have to say, there are a handful of really creative missions here. While I really loved patrolling and holding back raiders across frozen tundras, it was when I began exploring vast forests and piloting custom mechs beneath the ocean that the game really began to open up for me. It still is an old game, and these areas are going to leave something to be desired for those less accepting of older graphic styles. But for those who are here for the gameplay of MechWarrior 2, Ghost Bear's Legacy provides in spades. Of course, if you wanted to amp up the graphics just a little, there is always the Battle Pack and Titanium versions of this expansion as well, though I don't particularly enjoy either of them, or Titanium's well-known glitches. So everything you're seeing here is, again, the Pentium edition. Now, I'd love to leave it at that, but I just can't. While there are longer missions where stakes can be high and battles tense, there are also a lot of instances where missions can be completed in a handful of minutes. Always do these fit in with the storyline, such as an instance where you're going against your commander for blatantly disobeying orders. However, advertising that there are 12 missions, with several of them being head-on 1 versus 1 death matches, is true, but a little underwhelming. Still, I mean, is this one of the first games to put an entire mech underwater? I can't get over that. It has to be. Maybe, just maybe the game wins a few extra points for that fact alone. I don't know. When it comes to new mechs, Ghost Bear brings in the Stone Rhino, Linebacker, Ghost Bear Zodiac, Grizzly, and a few more, for a total of 9. While I go on and on about the Timberwolf, heavy mechs like the Stone Rhino and Kodiak really started to grow on me with Ghost Bear. In fact, I really loved the Kodiak, despite me never really being a heavy mech sort of person. I also invested some time into the Mech Lab, since I didn't do so in the base game. It was incredibly fun trying to balance stats, removing weapons I didn't like, and using the extra weight for something I found more useful. For instance, if there was a machine gun on a mech, it just had to go. I have to say though, while it isn't part swapping like the Armored Core series, what you're customizing in MechWarrior games is instead something far more important. With a maximum tonnage in mind, it's up to the player to trade out weapons, engines, heat sinks, and armor to make a completely balanced battle mech that suits their style. It takes a bit of trial and error, but that's half the fun of it. This customization system also makes the game far more replayable, giving a good reason to try other difficulties and develop the perfect mech for any situation. I'd also like to take the time to remedy some of the mistakes I made in the previous video. I am only human after all. Just one guy trying to make videos to justify his obsession with gaming and mechs. Anyhow, while I did say that the controls do require the whole keyboard, I didn't mean that it doesn't use the mouse as well. So if you thought that the control scheme I mentioned in the previous video was nuts, it's actually even wilder than that. And though I did cut it, I made the factual mistake of saying that MechWarrior 2 was released in 1997. It was actually 1995, with Ghost Bear's Legacy being released in the same year. With this expansion floating around as abandonware, at least as I'm writing this, the question is not if GBL is worth your money, but instead your time. My answer is pretty simple. Yeah, it is. If you enjoyed MechWarrior 2, this is more of that. The new environments are great, so are the mechs. There is even a little bit of voice work thrown in, just to sweeten the deal. So please, spend your time on this. It's just that good. Oh, and while you're at it, if you could spend a second clicking the like button, that'd be great too. Better yet, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. If I manage to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'm going to be picking up the OG Xbox exclusive Steel Battalion controller to play on the channel. That means a full rundown of its functions, footage of it in action, and a full review of the games. Heck, I'll even stream myself using it for a week or so. You have my word. Subscribe now, and for those who have already become part of my little mech crusade, thank you.